All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Somers Town Board work session on Thursday, November 9th, 2023, starting here at 7:07. Before we start, we're going to start with public comment. Is there anybody here for public comment? You are?
Up, Tommy.
Okay, first, someone want to give me a motion to open a public comment?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moved. If you want to come up here and state your name and,
Sure, why not? I want to hand something in first, though.
okay?
You can give it to Pat.
You got a haircut.
Yeah. Couple spots that they changed the name of the street. Street Lane over on Hopkins changes off to Lakeview. There's no signs. Over here changes from...
Why don't you
Gotta
come
go
to
to-
the
gotta go up.
podium and
Yeah, describe it.
You want to, maybe you
There
can
for the
point
audience.
that up there?
That's to a camera.
how come the camera, how come
Well,
the TVs aren't on?
there's a number of intersections that the streets changed names, and there's no indication what the name of the street is.
Oh.
Now, in an emergency,
Right.
you know, seconds count. So while you're trying to figure out what the hell you are, you know.
Good point.
Okay, has anybody spoken with the town about housing illegals? Putting them anywhere?
That's another subject here.
No.
Oh, we got-
No, nobody has.
No.
A couple of years ago, somebody was talking about making Somers a sanctuary city, and that motion did not pass.
Okay, what about around the lake? We had a problem there during the summer. They said that they couldn't kick anybody out because there's no signage.
Which lake you talking about?
Shenner?
Shenrock,
Shenorock? I know of the,
homeless man that Yorktown cops locked up.
correct.
Somers was called, and they said they couldn't do nothing because there were no signs up.
No sign?
No, what do you, no signs.
No trespass.
Yes.
Somers residents only. Park open, you know, dusk to dawn. So there's no laws for him to enforce. That's what he said.
Wait.
But there was ended up being a warrant out for the guy. But
Oh.
Yorktown came and locked him up.
He wasn't in a building. He was.
He was homeless. He was there for about
I mean, he was outside.
outside.
Oh, okay, yeah.
By the time everybody realized it, you know.
We would have to get current on all of that. I don't.
Hmm?
We would have to get current on all of that.
Because you got the Jewish temple right across the street there. You know, I don't see, you know, we got to protect them
Yeah.
with everything that's going on. And with
Parks do close. Reese Park closes at a certain time.
well, they got signs up, right?
Well, they have a gate.
Either way,
got signs.
hours of
Got a
operation.
sign.
Guys,
There's nothing.
pretty sure we're not,
Yeah, we're-
we're not up to it. That's what I always say about public comment. That's why we limit it to 3 minutes, and we're not prepared
You
to.
tried to kick me off the last time, all right?
Yeah.
I have legitimate complaints, okay? So I think I should be able to avoid.
Actually, sir,
Okay.
sir, I didn't get your name again.
Continue.
Tom Smith.
Tom, I don't think he's referring to you. This is public comment.
Okay.
So we're having a dialogue back and forth with you. Public comment is exactly what it states. The public makes a comment. So we're
Right.
listening to your comment, but we're having a dialogue back, and that's how we get off topic and how we get off track. So if you want to continue to keep going with your comments,
Okay, I got to
then
think.
that was more or less in line for us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. So we could take care of it. Okay. Now you guys are so worried about speed bumps and stop signs. You got Brick Hill Road. Okay. By the time you get to Palmer, you're picking without touching the gas. You're picking up 30 miles an hour easy, and you're setting off that portable sign. Okay. That was there on Lakeview before we got the speed bumps. So I think we should have a stop sign on Palmer. That would take care of that. And then going down that bend, probably right in the middle, put a speed bump. And that'll slow everybody down. Because if you don't touch the gas, you're doing 60 miles an hour by the time you get to 202. I think that's a more important place to have speed bumps and stop signs than on a little street in Shenrock. You know what I'm saying? And what happened with the TV? You know, there are no more meetings. I haven't been on.
What do you?
The town meetings, they have
Yeah, we had an issue with when we had the new software that we put in here. We had an issue with, I believe, with the cable provider, and that has since been fixed.
Okay, well, years ago, we used to have a reporter here from Somers Record, and we also used to have one from North County.
They're always more than welcome to come, but a lot of times what they do is they watch it on the YouTube channel, and then they do their reporting based on that.
Okay,
You can always,
But you could go ahead.
no, you can always go to YouTube and look at and see the whole 3 minutes after this thing is down. It's on YouTube.
all right, one more question. On Overhill and Cypress, there's piece of land, a parcel of land that they cleared, and they got heavy electrical coming in, heavy panel, heavy electrical panel. They changed the transformer up on the pole. Do you have any idea what's going on over there? Because nobody seems to know, or nobody's saying.
I don't know what is going on over there, but I can certainly find out.
Okay,
Oh, you said Overhill and Cypress?
yes.
Then I'll find out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Tom, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Anybody else here for public comment? Then can I get a motion to close out public comment?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, a couple updates here. I know we've been getting a few phone calls about Old Bet. Just give some there. We took down the iron pedestal. We took that down to make sure that it's, the structural integrity is there. It's in the hands of a local blacksmith who's going to be doing some work on it. And our goal is to keep that original pedestal in place and intact. And that's where we're making sure everything is okay with that. Another update here. We reported last week on the crosswalk between DeChico's parking lot and Heritage Hills Shopping Center. We are looking to probably spring construction on that. And we're probably going to be bringing that to, sign next week for us. And we're getting all the information about the cost estimate on that as well. And then we just have to file for the DOT permit application. And one of the monuments a while back is going to be put up on Route 35. We have the permit for that, so one of our monuments is going to go up on there. And then also good news, internet is at the Reynolds House. So we're moving right along with Reynolds House. So we have it there, and those are some of the updates here for the town. And then if we're on to number 2,
And I
Go ahead.
think it's important at the Reynolds House say why. Well, it might help people who are visiting there, or in the park, or in Angle Fly as they walk around to have that, but also provide security.
Correct.
At the building and the entrance, because that is connected to security cameras. So the Wi-Fi is necessary to provide that security.
Correct. Thank you. And then anybody else? Any town updates in now? And then we bring us to number 2. Patty, our town clerk, present the 2024 tentative budget to the town board.
2024 tentative budget was filed in my office on October 31st, as legally required.
So presented. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that brings us to number 3, the Somers Library. Additional architectural and engineering services for the team room expansion. Discussion for an additional funding of $34,500, exceeding the original $20,000 request. And if we have Jennifer Daddio here from Somers Library, and then also I think we have some representatives here from Lothrop.
Yep, we have Bob Gamalski and Marilyn Reed from Lothrop and Associates. So just to give you a little background, first of all, thank you for letting me come before you again to discuss this topic. When we were here the last time, we had come up with a plan, and then in between that time today, we had met with a construction company to get an estimate as to how much they thought the whole project would cost. And we needed that in order to apply for a New York State Library construction grant. When we met with the construction consultant, one of the things we had told him was that we really would like to enlarge the windows in the area that the teen room will sit. He put that in his proposal. We used that proposal to apply for the construction grant, which so far we've been green-lighted for. But then when I spoke with Marilyn and Bob, they had pointed out to me that redoing the windows would require an engineer's work because of the structural challenges that would bring. So they proposed some add-on services that would allow us to enlarge those windows, and that is what we forwarded to you guys to take a look at. And I have Bob here and Marilyn to answer any questions that you might have that I might not be able to.
Who suggested increasing the window size?
That was always on the table between myself and the teen librarian and the head of public services.
See, because I just get, and again, this is not the library per se.
Sure.
We had somebody, I think you might have been here when we had somebody from Wood and Kern here, and we were talking about the escalation in pricing on there. And it just, we were here a month ago and it was $20,000. Go 3-4 weeks later, it's increased 1.5 times. It's gone to another $37,000.
Right.
I get concerned that, the due diligence at the beginning, if we always knew that the windows were gonna have to get enlarged, I just don't know why we didn't know that when we came here.
That is on me. So that I should have been more, I should have had more attention to the details, and I didn't. So that's
Okay.
on me. That being said, if we can't expand the size of the windows, and the whole reason I want to do it is because right now we have tiny porthole windows
Yep.
in that area. And the view outside those windows is absolutely gorgeous. So the idea was to just bring more natural light into the building.
No, that's what I figured.
Oh, yeah.
But again, it's like a domino effect. Okay, now you need new windows and you think it's straightforward, and then all of a sudden we need a new HVAC system, and then you need, it just adds on and on. The total budget for this, and again, and forgive me, Richard was trying to help me, and the grant that you're getting, the construction grant, is that like the $200,000 one, or
Yes, so the construction grant is $210,000.
210? So we have with the new stuff that we're talking about now, we have a construction budget of about 430,000, and we have the architectural engineering with the added about 54,000. So we're looking at a little under a $500,000. The 200,000 is the grant that you're 100% confident that we'll get, or you're fairly confident?
95% confident it's been green-lighted by the library system, and
Okay.
no reason to think that we won't get approved by this.
So the town out of pocket's going to be about 300,000, 280, somewhere around that neighborhood.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
If on the off chance, working in government, we know that the best laid plans, either take forever or off go awry.
Right.
If we don't get that grant, is it a done deal, or is the town going to have to come up with the extra 210?
Well, the good thing is we're also applying for a CREST grant through Senator Harkin's office.
Okay.
That would be $50,000. And we also have the Somers Library Foundation, which has they're very committed to helping us with this project.
So, but I guess my question is moving forward on this project, and maybe it's up to us, is moving forward on this project contingent upon getting the $200,000 grant? Because from the town, giving $300,000 versus giving $500,000, especially, and we're all aware of this now because we're in the middle of budget season.
Right.
And we realize that every $50,000 is X percentage on the budget.
Sure.
I guess my question is it contingent upon getting the grant?
We would have to look at the numbers a little more carefully. I don't believe so. I believe we could still do this and have enough of a fund balance or reserve fund, whatever the term is that you prefer to use, to be stable. That being said, I do believe we're going to get that grant money.
All right, that's good, and that's fine.
Yeah.
So Jennifer, I mean, we were talking, I'm sorry.
No, Jennifer, I'm just gonna say, Jennifer, when do you know when you'll get this, when is it official? I mean, we're 95%, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna know, are we 100% or when do they?
I think I will know by the end of this year,
Okay.
but I will confirm that tomorrow.
So, we went through an operating budget review. Really didn't talk about capital.
Yeah.
You were before us and we talked about, doing this, said, okay. I think we asked the question, is it going to be bigger than a bread box, smaller than a house? And you said, well, we don't really know right now. But so how does this come together and over what time period? And, what does construction look like? What are you going to, we have anything in the capital for this? I mean, what?
Well, this would all be paid for through library monies, whether it's, the reserve funds for the library or the grants or the help from the Library Foundation. Ideally, I would love to start construction by the end of this year, but I know that things move slowly sometimes and we would have to go out for RFPs and there's that process. But ideally, this project would start in the winter and it would be finished by late spring so that we would be up and running in time for summer reading program.
So, but you would apply for these grants and you would expect to get the grant money before that?
So the way the construction grant works is once you're approved, they send you 90% of the money up front. And when I arrived here, the library had applied for another grant. This was the previous director had done this. They had applied for a construction grant for the generator and new windows. That money arrived right after I arrived in February of 2021. So if the state approves this, I have no reason to believe that we won't have that money in hand, at least 90% of that money in hand by
Right.
February.
Okay.
Yeah, which would give us a good start,
So, okay, so typically when you do a capital plan, you write up sort of a project, right? And then you talk about how you're gonna fund it. So here you wrote up, so this is your capital plan right now, what you were looking at, right? That was what,
Yeah, here it is.
was it 490?
The capital plan is 379,500, or
Four-
429,550.
And you're saying it's gonna be under 5 or 429, roughly about 430,000 for the project, is that?
yes.
Well, and then add,
Well, that's-
that doesn't
that's
include
at-
the architectural and engineering fee.
No,
That's another 55,000.
Yeah, wow. It's about 400.
Yeah, it's about half,
Okay.
it's a little under a half million, 475.
Okay, got it.
Always add in 10%.
Yes. That's always a good rule of thumb, Rich.
Well, okay, all right.
I mean, a question that I have, so there's an extra 14, we had 20 originally. That was the estimate, and that's an extra 14 or extra 34?
it's an extra 34.
And that would go to the engineer. Now, does
That
Lothrop
would
take
go
care
to,
of,
yes.
take
yeah.
care of the engineer? Is there an engineer who works for Lothrop, with Lothrop? I'm not quite sure, maybe I just didn't read it carefully enough. Please explain that.
Hello, everyone. Bob Kowalski, principal at Lothrop Associates. Nice to be back.
Nice to see you again.
We have what are called inside consultants, to which we are contractually liable. They include Silman, structural engineers, and CBK engineering, mechanical, electrical, plumbing engineers. Their fees are included in our fees. So all of what is in that additional services proposal is the full gamut of architectural, structural, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire protection fees related to the additional work, which, if I may, isn't just the windows becoming larger and putting in relocated new air conditioning units under those larger windows. It also is expanding the renovation area to include the entire run of stack shelving out to the main aisle of the library. And those stacks are tall, self-supporting, and have electric lighting built into them. And so when you go to replace the shelving and modify the shelving, which is separate from the original project, lighting and exit lighting and reorganization of the HVAC in the ceiling there is all part of this. So it's not just $34,000 to engineer bigger windows.
But the
and-
stacks and stuff, I'm sorry, Rich, just, I know you got a question, but I want to look at it. The stacks are not considered, I mean, that's under the 50,000, shelving and miscellaneous furniture for teen room. We have a separate line item for furniture allowance up above. So that's not included in the 34. The 50,000 includes the shelving and stuff is what it says here.
The 50,000 is Calgy Construction's estimate for the cost of the shelving.
Yeah.
The extra $34,000 is our architectural and engineering services proposal to select all the new shelving, specify it, all the new carpeting, because once you move shelving and the carpet scars are there, potentially new ceilings, new lighting in that ceiling, because when you take down the existing shelving, which has lighting built into it, the electrical comes up through the slab. So it sounds simple, but it becomes a big, complicated.
No, it's a domino effect that I talked
Yeah,
about.
it's the domino effect.
Sorry, Richard.
So, yeah, that's the project.
So you are an architectural firm, and you then have in-house engineers, so to speak, right?
No, we subcontract.
Subcontract out.
It's separate.
So that's my question. You do not look for proposals, you pass that on. How do we know that's the best price for the best engineers? Because you say so? And I don't mean to be
No, of course.
Cynical.
It's a very good question.
just, it's public money, so.
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. Well, CBK and Silman are engineers we've worked with for decades, over 2 decades. And one of the reasons we go to them is because they are oftentimes very lean with their fees. And we don't just go to our favorite engineers all the time because we want to be fair, spread the work around to multiple engineering firms, but also we want to be judicious in how we, because we do a lot of municipal work, spend municipal funds so that we're constantly testing the waters so that people like Silman and CBK don't feel like it's a gimme every time.
And we don't want them to feel
Yeah.
that, and we want great work, obviously at the most reasonable
Right.
price, but we want great work.
Sure.
So, and as this project, now does that violate any laws for us because they go out and get that engineer?
No.
By any
No,
procurement?
because they're professional
Perso-
services that aren't subject to bidding.
Okay,
Those,
They're
those
a
two,
fine program.
okay. And then as the project goes on, and I said this to Jennifer, because I know about library school, they don't have courses on construction management of your building, right? It's about managing books. So who's going to manage this construction and be in charge of that? Would that be Lothrop, or would we get a construction management firm in some way, or have our engineers look at that? How's that going to be checked? Because typically there is somebody who watches over it, because that can't be Jennifer's job. It wouldn't be fair, I don't think,
You don't want
unless she wants it.
Yeah, it's a very good question. So architects and engineers are not construction managers.
Right,
We're not clerks of the work.
right.
We are not contract administrators. What we do is we come out to the job site intermittently at key milestone points during construction to ensure that the contractor is building according to the design intent in the drawings. Now, that doesn't mean that we're watching every nail and screw go in. This is about twice the size of a construction project as the original project, and it's about $500,000. This is where I personally say the threshold should be for at least considering a clerk of the works, somebody who's there at least half-time, kind of who's construction savvy, watching things, or hiring a construction manager as an advisor who could be there half-time or full-time.
so that's another,
And people like,
that's another expense.
that's another expense.
And what would be your estimate as to what that expense would be for a project like
Typically, we've found that CM fees are anywhere from 3 to 5% of whatever the hard cost is. Typically.
right?
Now,
Somewhere
this-
15,000.
Now, if you do a $30,000 project,
Yeah.
you know, it's too low. There's a low threshold. So,
Possibly 25 on.
Yeah, 5.
so
So
Is
the,
that what you'd say, 25?
3 to 5%.
Oh, 5%.
Fi-
of
5%
is 25,000, so I'm guessing
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay, we just want to make sure we have an estimate that's fairly accurate.
Yeah, but what I would recommend is call Dominic and David and get a hard number. And now that they know the project, and provide them with a real number.
And the
So-
original proposal didn't include clerk of the works? No, I don't believe so. Okay.
And who's Dominic and who?
Dominic Calgi and David Chen are Calgi Construction, who prepared the construction cost estimate for Jennifer for the grant application, because the construction grant program doesn't believe architects and engineers and don't want a cost estimate on our letterhead because we don't know what we're doing. They want it from real people. So, and it's good actually. So they got it's a really solid budget. I don't know if you shared. So I don't know if you saw David's detail. It's pretty.
But they're doing that work, CalG is working for you to do this project, or they just gave you the estimate on it?
Just gave the estimate.
They volunteered to provide the estimate.
They volunteered at no cost?
That's right.
And so your recommendation is that they be contacted as a clerk of the work, someone to oversee it. That's your recommendation to us?
At least one, if not a couple others to consider.
So that we should look at proposals for that?
Sure. And we would be.
Not intending to bid on the work?
So, here's my doctor and undertaker story. Try not to have the construction manager, who should be the agent for you folks, because you own the building, be the guy who's banging the nails.
Well, that's exactly what we're getting at, right?
So, I would say no, you would hire them as either a clerk of the works or construction manager as advisor, and they work for you. They don't work for themselves. Construction managers who are at risk as constructors, that's a whole other business, and I don't recommend.
No, the only experience that I've had, I think most of us, is, big school bonds.
Right.
And where there have been some who've been involved, whether they be architects or hey, we'll do it, but it's always advisable if someone has nothing to do with this to oversee it. Here's the plans, you understand it better than we do, and you're going to watch over, and you work for us to advise us what you see. Obviously not in a confrontational way or anything like that, just as honest as possible.
Well, you want them not just watching the construction work, but you want them making sure we and our team are doing what we're supposed to be doing during construction too.
Right. Okay.
Not that if you don't hire them, we're going to slack off, but we're all human, and when they look at things a different way, they're going to call us and say, you need to get out here right away and look at this because it's an existing building and they opened up something and they found X.
So if we can go forward with this, then the steps would be to send out an RFP for whatever we want to call it, to oversee the thing, to make sure we get what we pay for at the best quality that it can be gotten.
In an ideal world, if you have the extra money, can find it, that would be my recommendation.
So the number,
Having said that, however, this is right at the threshold where I start recommending a CM. If this were a $350,000 project and you hire the right contractor, can't get into too much trouble if you have the right contractor.
Yeah.
So it's like, where's that line between
I don't know.
trust and
I can't put a board in my deck.
no?
Talking to the wrong guy with me.
Right.
so the number that we have here is not fully complete yet, right? There's some add-ons that have to be added on top of these numbers here, or
No, the 37,000 is the add-on.
oh, that is the.
That's for our additional architectural and engineering services. If
But
you want
the
to clerk,
the construction manager,
that's not been mentioned yet.
and that's not in here.
It's we don't do it.
Yeah, so we want to try to put a complete budget together, a number that, you have all the components, and then kind of represent it, and that's your budget.
And I would just say this, push back a little bit on the schedule. It's always idealized by building owners because they want it and want to get it completed as soon as possible. My recommendation is to wait for the grant. We're happy to sit on the sidelines till and then authorize the additional services. We're happy if you authorize it tonight, we'll get going, but if you wait, we're happy to wait with you
It
until
would seem wise to have it contingent upon the grant. That doesn't mean the project would never go through, but we'll
Right.
have a whole new game plan then without that. My other question is there a reason why we didn't include the construction manager or clerk of the works, whatever we want to see in the original proposal here?
From my perspective, I always imagined it was between $0 and about $250,000, and it was below my personal threshold for recommending. Now that it's double the size, it's right at my threshold.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, so I would agree, and I think I mentioned it earlier, I mean, again, it definitely should be contingent upon the grant, but also what Tony is saying is true, what Tony is saying is true as well, is that, we have a plan in front of us, now we're hearing that, I don't want to hear I don't want to come back again in a month and say, hey, now we need $25,000 for a clerk of the works or construction man. I want it, and this is what I said again, and it's not the library. This is what I said when we had some other things where you get halfway through a project and then somebody comes in and says, oh, we're going to need bases for that. That's another 50 grand. So I would do the same thing. I would get
Yeah.
all the information together and then present it and look at it that way.
And
Now,
look,
Jennifer,
this is a work session.
Yeah.
So this is where explanations happen and questions.
So,
We're trying to be, we're being constructive here.
yeah, no, it's great.
What are the pieces? So,
I just
Been a
want
lot
to
of good-
point out, I just pulled up CalG's detailed estimate. One of the things we should ask David is where did he build in the contingencies? Because someone talked about adding 10%. It doesn't have a line item for it, but I'm guessing, and which is what David usually does, he builds in a contingency into each of the line items. So you might ask him if he
Jennifer-
did and where, what the value is in each of the items.
If he built it in, I would like to see him take that out
and then
build
put it
in a line.
And then build a separate line.
I would seem, to me,
Let me-
that would be the better.
Yeah, let me just open the other document, see if
Jennifer, I think it might be best if you and I kind of do a 45-minute sort of debrief work session. You and I get down to the, sort of what's going to entail everything, right? So what are the line items, all that kind of stuff, and then and figure out, it's a big project for the library. We want to make sure here, everybody here, that this project, is done right. We want to make sure that the project has no surprises. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page. We want to make sure it's a working relationship. We want to make sure that we have the right people in place to do it. And I think it's just one of those things that you and I sit down for 45 minutes to an hour, and we just hammer everything out, kind of go over what we're talking about tonight, and making sure we have a game plan. And then, we wait for the contingency for the grant, right? I mean, you're a lot like I am. I want to get things done right away. I want to get them done tomorrow, especially when it comes to the library and how the library wants to, have a new teen room. And but I think instead of rushing the process, let's let the process play out, and let's make sure that we're all on the same page and we have a solid plan going forward.
do we have to do anything though to when you apply for these grants? Do you have to have some sort of a blessing that we're all going in the right direction in order?
No, the only thing that the town has to sign off on is that the library will remain in that building for at least 10 years after the project is complete, which we did get the sign.
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
You tell us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we signed her.
Take your library somewhere else.
It's
Jennifer.
so-
Leave it here.
Let's go to the playground.
if I may.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does this group know we've been engaged in the assessment?
Yes, Rob knows.
I know, yes.
Okay, so we did our field assessment the other day, and you'll be assured to know that you have a very stoutly built building that is in very good shape. There are moments of concern, but there are moments. The building's not going to fall down. Things aren't falling off. The roof isn't caving in. You have an HVAC system that's it's limping on a cane.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
But
Yeah.
we've been tasked by the library board to think strategically about how to upgrade the HVAC system without saying rip the whole thing out and start over.
Well, you've talked a lot about in here in this proposal. So you just brought the HVAC system up. How does this now tie into that for your proposal as well? I mean, when you guys went and looked at the nuts and bolts in the library, because this was probably done before you did that assessment, right? So how does that now tie into it?
That's right. And you're asking the question Jennifer asked when we had our meeting at the site the other day, and the engineer said he anticipated that he was going to find some funny business with the HVAC, and included in his fee was the design of new units for the entire work area. The teen room, which is a combination of the rooms at the end, and the expanded stack area. So
Separate systems?
to be determined, we're going to give you several options because the library is interested in heat pumps or geothermal or Mitsubishi split mini ductless systems. And the good news is if we do larger windows and we make some of them operable, that the outside air intake requirements for A3 public assembly building can be mitigated by operable windows. So we're going to get a whole host of options on the HVAC side.
Do you have any idea when we'll receive it?
It's going to take a little while. As I said the other day,
Before the end of the year?
that's the hope.
Right in line with the,
That's the hope. Yeah.
Okay.
We need
Fine with everything.
we need to digest all the photographs and the notes we took, then go back out there because we missed stuff, right? And get you a draft before the end of the year.
But
I don't know if it'll be the final.
state the obvious. The last thing in the world. Let's do a beautiful project. We want the library to be wonderful and open, and then someone says, "You know what? We got to get inside that wall for these."
Well,
That would be like,
that we knew and
How-
didn't anticipate because the original drawings were done really well and show where all the piping is, and so the engineer already anticipated having to fiddle with that, the base project and in this expanded additional services project.
so that'll have to be coordinated. Though
That's right.
you're going to go ahead with this project as soon as possible, not as soon as the
Yeah.
supervisor or the library director would want, but as soon as possible. So we're going to have to coordinate that. Would you do the coordination of that?
That's our job.
That would be your.
That's our
okay.
job.
All right, good.
Now, you folks have been in the library. You know that in some of the rooms there are some new HVAC units that have been hung on the wall, like split mini systems, and one of them's in the room in question. That approach was in response to systems that aren't working just so in any given space. You know, PEU units where the fan is busted, that's in a unit that's 31 years old. So somebody put in a split ductless system on the wall, which is a heat pump system that does heating and cooling. Those are the kinds of options that we oftentimes think about for libraries, because libraries are full of tiny spaces, medium-sized spaces, and big spaces. And my gut tells me is we're going to end up with the ideal recommendation being a hybrid system where for small spaces you have unitary systems that are controllable easily in any given room or meeting room or teen room. And then for the central space, there would be a central system, which takes pressure off in the event that the central system goes down. The whole library is not hot or cold. You've got individual systems that can be run in the work area, in the teen room, in the reading room. And
With your experience and expertise, would you then be able to give the town an estimate of hopefully cost savings? Those ductless systems are great. I have that in my house. And also the use of energy, some sort of comparison. We try to be as environmentally sensible in all areas. I know that the library director very much is in favor of those whenever possible. Would that be possible for you to give us so we can say, hey, look, it's green, we're saving energy, and we're saving money. Obviously, the best combination of all. Is that something that is doable?
it is. It's usually done by our engineer, and CBK can do it. There will be savings, if only because the new equipment will be more efficient. The thing that offsets that, and I did a demonstration for Jennifer, this building is a steel frame building with metal studs and sheetrock and fiberglass insulation. And when you put your hand against the wall, it's cold, even on a day like 2 days ago. And those metal studs conduct heat. If we were to improve the building envelope by adding insulation and thermal barriers inside the building, and that would mean losing about 2 inches of the perimeter all around the building, then you would realize real savings. And the first costs for the new systems would decrease because they could be smaller. Not just more efficient, but smaller.
Jennifer, do you happen to know if that building underwent an energy audit years ago? We had energy audits of different buildings. Healthy Home was doing that for they were free under NYSERDA, free. I did that at my house. And they told me what to do, and I've saved money. Do you happen to know if that was done?
I do not.
Because there was money from NYSERDA to have that done, and I think also I forget a few others. Maybe NYSEG even still some involved in that.
Yeah.
That'd be something that would be interesting. I mean, we're starting to get this, a lot of big. But if there is money for that, and that can get that envelope better, and then that would cut the money we spend on other areas. So
I will ask Mark from CBK if the NYSERDA program is still out there to audit. But all of these sorts of ideas,
yeah.
it's great to do this in a working session, then go into our final report as recommendations and options 1, 2, and 3. So all of this informs that process.
Okay.
I think it did undergo an energy audit.
We probably have some. We did.
So see if you
Yeah.
have the records, or
Yep.
if they have the
Yep.
records.
Or the building department has the records.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And let me just say, I completely understand you guys wanting to make sure all the Ts are crossed and all the Is are dotted. When I have confirmation or rejection of the construction grant, I'll get in touch with
Yeah,
you.
I'll be
Yeah, why
okay.
don't we set up some time, you and I, we'll sit down and chat
Okay,
about an hour, maybe sometime next week or,
okay.
Weekend.
I won't know by next week, I'm sure.
no, we just, I mean, all the preliminary stuff, all the,
Got it.
stuff that goes into it, the checklist, kind of go over with fine tooth comb. So either next week or after Thanksgiving, we'll get together.
Thank you all. I appreciate you.
Right.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to Patty. We're actually going to take off number 4, the Hidden Meadow Water Rates petition. I would like Fred to be here to discuss that, so we'll take that off for tonight's agenda. Okay, number 5, acknowledge an additional Westchester EMS ALS fly car added into service on July 1st, 2024. They were in here last week or last month, talking about that. And we're going to add another ALS fly car to the fleet.
And this is in the budget, right?
This is in the budget, correct?
And it's a great move, as we've heard. When somebody is in distress, every minute counts, and this will help increase or decrease rather the amount of time that it takes for somebody to get on site. So I think it's just a great all around.
And it's a joint effort. Somers isn't the only one.
Somers is the only one.
Right.
There's other municipalities as well that have joined into this as well. Okay, let's move on to number 6. Authorize the solicitation of requests for proposal from architects that can provide a contract for architect service on an as-needed basis per memo dated November 2nd, 2023 from Thomas J. Tuma, Building Inspector. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the solicitation.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Number 7, authorize the solicitation of the request for proposal from landscape architects that can provide a contract for landscape architect services on an as-needed basis per memo dated November 2nd from Thomas J. Tuma, Building Inspector. Make the motion to authorize.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. And number 4, authorize solicitation of request for proposal from roofing companies that can provide a contract for roofing services on an as-needed basis. Memo dated November 2nd, 2023, Thomas J. Tuma, Building Inspector. Make the motion to
Second.
authorize. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. All right. And then authorize permission to accept proposal from Adam Hubax, owner of AH Restoration in Massachusetts, to perform the necessary work to restore the engine and transmission of the Carolyn Wright Reese Model T Ford in the amount of $7,300 per member dated the Historic Properties Board dated October 30th, 2023. The money that is left in the 2023 Historic Properties budget will be dedicated to this
Do
project.
you know how much that is?
$7,300.
Oh, the entire thing?
Yeah, I think it's right around there. So that's how much is going to be for that.
And that's great news. And the only bad news is that it won't be around for a couple of parades.
Won't be yes. It won't
Like this Saturday's parade, it won't be around. But
Veterans Day parade.
this will enable it to be around for many more years to come.
Yeah, and you need the right type of person to
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
be able to do this and repair. So this gentleman I believe, has done some repairs on this on the Model T before, and we feel very comfortable with him doing it. And
He's coming here. I assume we're not sending the car there? Do you have?
No, I think
I think
we're
we're
renting
in the
it.
car there.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's in the car there.
all right.
Unless the people forget this, this car was actually a Eagle Scout project. That's how it was in the barn over at the Reese house, and an Eagle Scout asked, "Hey, can I help repair it?" Working with Arnie Gio, and we've gotten so much use out of it lately. So we definitely want to keep it in good running order.
Nice. So I'll make the motion to authorize.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Parks and Rec, authorize the following per November 1st, 2023, memo from Steve Rawson, Superintendent of Parks and Recreation. Permission to solicit a concession contract request for proposal. And that is for the concession stand there. I'll make the motion to solicit permission.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, so moved. And B here, permission to execute the Kegel Park caretaker license agreement for Howard Vinberg in a monthly rent of $1,433, commencing on January 1st, 2024, and termination on December 31st, 2024. Make a motion, permission?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Nothing for financial, nothing for highway. We do have some current vacancies on the Affordable Housing Board, Partners in Prevention, the Veterans Committee, and we have some upcoming vacancies, one for the Library Board of Trustees, Partners in Prevention, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. I also like to acknowledge the retirement of Barbara Tabor, our Nutrition Program Director for the Town of Somers Senior Nutrition Department, effective December 30th, 2023. Barbara, she has been with the Town of Somers for 29 years.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
So, Barbara, thank you so much for what you've done over at the Van Tassel House, with all the services, and making it a great, warm, welcoming place for our seniors in town to come there and get the services that they need. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
She's done an awesome job.
Yep. Okay, and then let's head on here to planning and engineering. No additional business. Police authorize the supervisor to enter into an intermunicipal agreement, IMA, between the Town of Somers Police Department and the County of Westchester to obtain a base station radio free of charge for installation in the Town of Somers Town Police Department headquarters, commencing on January 1st, 2024, and expiring on December 31st, 2028. I'll make the motion to authorize the supervisor.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. We have the proposed consensus agenda there. I think we put that to next week. Anybody has any questions? Nope.
Forward.
All right. So going on to the calendar here, our next meeting will be on the 16th. That is a Thursday. It's our town board regular meeting. And then we will be on December 6th, which is a Wednesday, our town board work session. And then again on December 14th is our town board regular meeting. And then we have our dates coming up here in January, February, coming up next year. We do have some announcements. And I think a lot of people in town, we would like to extend our condolences and prayers to the family of Dr. Christopher Nakora, who recently passed away. Dr. Nakora was a primary care physician in town for over 20 years. During this time, he also provided physical exams for our town employees. He was a true servant to our community, and he will truly be missed. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add, or?
Yeah, we've got a couple of really good news bits coming out of the high school and the sports arena. Girls soccer going to a state championship this weekend. Semifinals on Saturday and finals on Sunday. And I think boys football's got some things going on too.
They do. They have something on tomorrow.
In Arlington. Good luck to both.
We do have the Somers bulk refuge drop off, and that is it goes until November 11th, and that is Wind Waste Innovations, formerly City Carting. That's on Route 100. We do have our Veterans Day Parade. I know some guys mentioned it here earlier today, this evening. It's hosted by the Somers Lions. That is going to be on Saturday, the 11th. The parade line will start at 9:45 at the Somers Middle School parking lot, and then step off will be at 10:15. And the ceremony is at 11 o'clock, Veterans Memorial in Ivandale Cemetery. And then refreshments will follow here at the townhouse. And that's, thank you for Lion Katie O'Keefe for organizing it. We have the 5th annual Somers Track and Field Booster Club Turkey Trot. Thanksgiving morning. 8 a.m. is the 5K, and then 9 is the 1 mile run walk, and the medals for finishers, and that's at Somers High School. And then we have safe disposal for medical sharp syringes and needles, and you can drop that off 8 to 3, Monday through Friday. And that is at the main lobby at the Somers Police Department. And then containers also be dropped off at the Putnam Animal Hospital, I believe. Dropped off at Putnam Hospital. And that is all I have for this evening. Anybody else?
Oh, that's it. I mean, Veterans Day, everybody should come and join us on Saturday.
They should.
Yeah, I unfortunately for the first time in 16 years, I'm not going to be able to make it. I have a family commitment, so I do want to say thank you to all the veterans who will be there and that aren't able to make it. And hopefully you'll have good weather.
I think the weather's
Should
gonna
be
be
decent.
and cold.
Yeah, it should be easy.
Anticipated to be decent.
Rich, anything? No?
Oh,
I'm speechless.
Patty, do you have any facts
Well,
this evening?
Okay, well, I do have a fun fact. Thank you to Linda. I couldn't find one today. And I don't know why this didn't come up, but on this day in 1989, the Berlin Wall came down.
Wow.
Let's
Oh
go.
yeah, I heard that today on the radio. That's right.
Let's go, Somers. It's always a good day to be a Tusker.
there you
It is.
go. Here.
Well, that is it for this evening. And I'll make a motion to adjourn tonight's town board work session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Night, everyone.